My next guest is easily one of my top female prospects on the regional scene today. Typically seen in the Invicta FC cage, she now makes her CFFC debut on November 3rd, fighting for the vacant women's strawweight title against Jasmine Navarrete. She's no other than Fatima, the Archangel Kline. How's it going today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So I wondered for a while, where does the nickname the Archangel come from?
So I'm a Christian and I'm a big believer in the Bible and everything. And the Archangel comes from like Michael the Archangel. It's like this like most simple description would be it's like a messenger or like a warrior of Christ. So that's where it comes from.
I had a feeling it came from that side, but
Yeah.
you hear some wild stories when nicknames come into play, and uh,
Yeah, yeah.
so
Mine's pretty simple, but
I'm gonna start with like the initial start of your martial arts journey. If I recall, you've been training BJJ since you were 10. Is that
yes.
accurate?
Yep.
So, what got you into BJJ?
So I started jujitsu in Long Island. My mom first put me in it for self-defense reasons. And then I had my first competition probably a couple months after I first started, and I was hooked and I loved it, and I kept on going, and yeah, it's been my passion ever since.
And that has taken you to a title as well. You won the Medusa strawweight title, and then you competed for the Medusa bantamweight title. Have those made you more prepared, I think, for the MMA first title defense or first title fight, I should say?
Yeah, I think being on big stages like Medusa and things like ADCC and big grappling scenes, I think that has definitely set me up for a bigger show as far as like CFFC and now fighting for another title. I've already felt the pressure of, having a title on the line and being in the finals and being in scraps, being in real tough fights and really just having to edge my way out. So yeah, I think I definitely think shows like that have beyond well prepared me for my upcoming fight.
You led in perfectly to my next question as well with being in scraps. Your next up is Jasmine, but you faced Natalia Kuzatina, who's an Olympic bronze medalist in judo, and then Laura Gallardo, who was on the Ultimate Fighter. So she was right about there into the UFC. And then you ultimately called for the title shot after the Gallardo win. Were there any talks about the Invicta title since McCormick didn't win the title the same night?
Yeah, the funny thing was I was supposed to fight McCormick down in November of last year. I wound up hurting my knee, so I was unable to compete. That's why I wound up fighting Laura not too long after that. But yeah, we were definitely trying to figure things out. I know they already had their sights on Wojcik. I already know that they really had their sights on her, so I was kind of just waiting on my opportunity. But I think I'm well prepared for it now, and the longer I wait, the longer time goes by. And I put everything into my training, into camp, in and outside of camp. So I was really grateful for the opportunity when CFFC offered me the title shot. I really feel like they believed and they can see my potential and see that I am well able to take it home.
Yeah, and I mean, gonna bring up a little elephant in the room there too. There has been some talks about Invicta's health and status lately. Did any of that, like, what led to you ultimately to come to CFFC?
I feel like there was a pretty big lack of fighters and fighters willing to fight me. I always called out for like the top seat. Valeska Machado. I wanted to fight Danny McCormack after. I wanted to fight all those top girls, all the girls that are basically either have the title, did have the title, or top two contenders. It seemed like, as far as I know, on my end, that I didn't receive any, contracts or yeses and things like that. And so, yeah, my manager winded up finding me something with CFFC, and thankfully it's a title shot, which makes it that much better. But yeah, I mean, I want to fight the best there is, you know, whoever it is. So yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird too because your career kind of like started around the same time the inaugural strawweight titles was introduced. You debuted a week prior to Miranda winning the title. So it's like
Oh,
lines up
cool.
exactly on. I'm a nerd for numbers. Like when
Yeah.
you fight in 2 weeks, it's like 888 days since the initial fight, and
Oh,
you
that's crazy.
debuted 896 days. Like
Oh, okay, okay.
it's literally like right along the same
Yeah.
realm. And speaking of that, the strawweight title, like it's been so far, two people have held the title, and it's been their ticket to the UFC. Is that like your goal with this? Do you see this being a ticket to the UFC, or do you have other plans?
No, 100%. I see this as my ticket to the UFC. I see taking the title and finishing my opponent. I think that is the golden ticket. So yeah, I'm ready to make that dream happen.
And then, since your eyes are on the UFC, what are your views on the current static state of the women's strawweight division there? Since we are kind of at a changing of the guard right now.
Yeah, it seems like strawweights are pretty much at like a heavy standstill. Um, I think, Tatiana Suarez coming back and entering the playing field, I think that makes stirs things up a little bit. You have like two good grapplers like Tatiana and Mackenzie Dern, you know what I mean, against really good strikers like Jan and Wei. So I definitely think there's a lot of potential in 115. It feels like it's a little backed up right now, but hopefully when I enter the scene that I can rile things up a little bit.
On the other side of the cage for this title fight, it's Jasmine Navarrete. Have you been able to find a lot of footage on her? I think I've seen two fights on her.
Yeah, I've been able to do some studying and my coaches as well. They're really good at really digging down deep and finding the things that a lot of people can't find. So yeah, I've seen enough to where I believe I know where our strengths and our weaknesses are, and it's kind of almost less of what I know what she can do and more of the confidence that I have in myself and all my preparation going into this fight.
So another elephant that I kind of found while going through her typology. She's only made title weight once in her pro career. I know she's only had, I think, 6 pro fights. Obviously, her missing weight doesn't impact you too much. Ideally, she doesn't come in like 9 pounds over like the last CFFC card, and the fight still goes on. Is that a concern on your end that she comes in heavier, and then at fight day you're fighting an even bigger opponent?
No, I mean, I did see that. I saw that she's missed weight a couple times, and it seems like she struggles to make 115. It's different, but I feel like it's all the same at the end of the day. I've fought, I've grappled high level grapplers at 135. I've grappled some of the best in higher weight classes, and I've never been afraid to, get out there and fight somebody bigger than me or somebody who, you could say is better than me. Hopefully she does make weight. I mean, if anything, I take home a little extra money and I still get to fight at the end of the day. Um, but yeah, I mean, my weight's on point. I'm ready to, if I had to hit 115 on the money, I'm ready to do that as well. And yeah, I've been super disciplined, so I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at your career. You've made weight every time. I don't care what the one excuse the other side
Yeah.
tried saying in the one fight. You're still within that pound boundary when that one happened. So I just saw that and I was like, oh man, like we just lost a title fight last time. Please don't lose one here.
Yeah.
So that stood out. But like for this fight, I know some people who you train with usually. Who are you training with for this particular fight?
Right now, I'm training with Aaron Blanchfield. I'm training with a lot of my team at Silver Fox BJJ. I'm working with my coach David Cordoba, and actually a bunch of people from MK Muay Thai, like Daryl, Ashley, Crystal. A lot of Muay Thai girls helping me out. Jillian DeCourcy is helping me out right now. Um, I don't want to miss anybody. I think that's everybody though. Yeah, I've had a lot of people when they found out I was fighting for a title really rally up and stand behind me and be there for me for my training session. So I couldn't appreciate that more.
And just bounce off that, Aaron's right there on the fence. She could very well get booked tomorrow. There's no complaints there. Jillian just had the atom weight title. Have those two been helpful, like be it mentorship wise or even more than just the training room?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, people ask me all the time, how much they help me in the training room, but even outside of the training room, and watch how far they've come, and watch them under the lights and under the pressure and under really big fights, has greatly helped me have the confidence in myself to be able and know that I could do the same thing.
And then the last question on my end, one of the big factors I always felt, especially on the women's divisions, was Invicta was ran by a female. The matchmaker, Jules Kedzie, an amazing matchmaker. You're now at CFFC where Miranda Granger is now more heavily involved as well. Does that make things more comfortable as a fighter versus when you get to the UFC, you're gonna be with Mick, Sean, now Joe, whoever Joe is. Is that a little more comfortable, like being a more female packed, basically?
Yeah, I don't think it makes too much of a difference for me as long as they're able to find me fights. Obviously, being a female, sometimes it is hard to find fights, and it is hard to find other females that are willing to fight, either short notice or, making the weight or just fighting in general. So it definitely gives me more confidence to know that like they're going to be working hard to really find me people. So
And then I kind of lied. I do have like an add on to that too. It's more so I just think it would be cool. So I'm just curious what your idea or opinion would be. Miranda was the inaugural champion. She's with the promotion. She's at every show. When the title match happens, you usually have Rob Haydack presenting the title, Aries Garcia presenting the title. How cool would it be if the inaugural strawweight champion was the one who presented the vacant strawweight title, in your opinion?
yeah, no, I definitely think that would be super cool. I've never held a title in MMA, and knowing someone that has held it before me, being able to wrap it around my waist would definitely be a highlight for sure.
Yeah, that's been on my mind since like the time it was announced. I haven't messaged Miranda because I'm hoping it just happens.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, I'm gonna be really pissed off and be like, oh man, maybe I should have just poked the bear a little bit. But outside of that, that's all I have really for this fight. I'm gonna pass the mic to you. I know you bring out sponsors. Like your banner is like filled. So I'm gonna pass the mic to you. Feel free to shout out any sponsors, training mates, friends, family, whoever you want to shout out. Mike's all yours.
Yeah. I always like to thank God first because, without him, I wouldn't be here. So I definitely like to thank God first, and my family for always supporting me. My parents will be coming out to watch my fight. Um, all my cornermen for this fight, Frankie Roberts, David Cordoba, Augie Matias, and Aaron Blanchfield. And then all my training partners, I've said before, um, uh, my meal company that I work with that's helping me cutting weight for this fight, Marshall Zudkeefley with Heal for Life Meals. And yeah, just everybody that has backed me up coming into this fight, and everybody that has been there from the beginning to now, and everybody who will be there in the future.
Awesome. And that's again November 3rd, Tunica, Mississippi. UFC Fight Pass is probably where most are going to watch it. Tunica's kind of in the middle of nowhere. Headliner, which is great. The women's division is rapidly coming back, and it's you couldn't have picked a better title fight to bring it back on this card particularly. UFC Fight Pass November 3rd. Thanks for your time. I can't wait to watch it.
Thank you.
Thank you.